So real quick, I want you to pay attention to the first, maybe, I don't know, the first 15, 30 seconds, because this is the most important part of the video, all right? And also, I don't really know what I'm doing right now, so I don't know. We'll see what happens. But
What's going on, Survivor? My name is Brando. I'm 22 years old, and I'm finally ready to claim my fate as the next sole survivor. I just graduated from UC Irvine with a degree in computer science and artificial intelligence, and about a month ago, I made the move from SoCal to Seattle, where I'm working as a software developer for Amazon.
so real quick, right off the bat, we've got my name, my age, where I went to school, what I did. It gives you an idea of what job I have, and then I tell you where I live, and then I tell you where I work. So, I think the most important thing with the first 15, 20 seconds of your video is to, make sure that you're giving a concise introduction about yourself, but also that you're not flooding it with montage. I've seen so many application videos that are 30 seconds to a minute of just montage clips at the beginning. The casting producer is not going to sit through that. But anyways, a lot of you commenting about the buff wall. I think that's hilarious. Yeah, so I did show that I'm a super fan without directly saying that I'm a super fan, which I think helps a lot. Yeah, we've got all sorts back here. Also, my banner from season 41 that I won in the auction, which is super embarrassing. I'm not going to lie. Now that I've been on the show, I'm really embarrassed that I own it, but I do still think it's cool. But anyways, yes, all the buffs saying superfan without having to say superfan. Exactly, Joey, exactly.
It's nice to finally be living somewhere with some greenery, some trees, and maybe the rainy season will prep me for the islands of Fiji.
So I talk about the location, then I tie it into Survivor, but I don't just say where I live. I sort of give you an idea of what I think about it,
As a software developer, I have an inhuman attention to detail. I mean, if you were to give me a chunk of code, I'm finding bugs and I'm finding them fast. And I think my attention to detail is part of what's going to help me excel on Survivor.
Okay, so there's a few things in this section that I want to talk about where I say, as a blank. So we're already talking as if we're in a confessional, as a whatever. I also talk about my job, but I also tie it into Survivor. So there's a lot of key components to that, talking about what you do in an interesting way, I think is the big one. And then also how it applies, but not just falling into I'm going to be a strategist. I love strategy games. I'm going to be the best one out there. You don't want to throw out a bunch of generic statements, which I do think I end up doing later in the video. And I should have cut it out because my video is 4 minutes and 21 seconds. So we should have gotten rid of that.
I attribute it to this unrelenting motivation to be the best at everything I do that I've had since I was a little kid. I mean, even, in day-to-day life, on the disc golf course, I am a menace. On top of that,
Okay, so right there, on the disc golf course, I'm a menace. Absolutely useless information. I should not have put that in the video. I think I should have cut before that cut. But as far as I'm aware, these first 50 seconds, I don't remember there being any cuts. So one of the things that I went into my video trying to do is talk for a long time without cutting, but also without just fully scripting everything, because you want them to know that you can talk for a while, but you also don't want them to think that you have a game plan for casting. Does that make sense? This is off topic. That's a nice color of green on you. That was my favorite shirt for a really long time. I did end up getting an olive oil stain on it when I was making pizza one day, and I haven't worn it since. So tragic. The famous disc golf Final Six immunity. Exactly. It's the most useless information I could have given them. It's all about the storytelling. Exactly, PTW. Welcome to the stream.
Another thing it led to, when I was 19 years old, I got my very first cease and desist from my university. They hit me up. I was making these enamel anteater pins that were, too close to something they might sell and taking away their customers. I think they were just jealous of my product. If you were to...
So that story is really interesting. I do think it tells you something about how, I'm somebody who is always sort of in go mode. Even, when I was in college, I was trying to start a business before I got my cease and desist. But it's a little bit of storytelling. You want to make sure that you have storytelling in your video. And I think I told it in somewhat of an interesting way with making fun of the person who sent me the letter. But anyways. So we'll keep going.
Reach out to any of my friends about my worst quality. I can guarantee you every single one of them would tell you it's my unhealthy addiction to telling puns. For example, one of my favorites, Survivor favorite, what does Jeff Probst drink when he's feeling sick? immunity, huh? If it isn't,
And that is exactly why they put me on the same season as Maya. I really think that Jay and I were supposed to cross paths. But so I want to say about this portion of the video is, number one, I proved that I have friends by talking about them, which I guess could have been a lie, but don't lie in your audition video. And number two, again, it's just like something interesting about me. You know, I'm a pun guy, and that's something where if you look at me, you might not expect that. So anyways, oh no, oh, people do not enjoy the pun. That's okay. You know, it's okay.
obvious enough, I've been a diehard Survivor fan ever since I was 10 years old and my parents and I watched for the first time. I mean, even if I'm away at college or halfway across the country, if Survivor's on, FaceTime's on, because my parents and I have not missed an episode together since we first watched. And speaking of my parents...
So here is where I actually start tying in like my background for Survivor, which I think is something to mention in your video. Don't spend, you know, a whole minute on it, but at least drop some hints. And I will say that Jeff loves, Jeff loves some family stories. Yes, exactly. Have friends.
Parents, you know, my mom comes from a family of Japanese Americans who struggled through internment, and my dad grew up in Ohio with 75 first cousins. So I think it's pretty safe to say that I grew up with a very diverse background and a pretty big
Survivor diversity, baby. I mean, we all know what they're looking for.
mix of cultures.
Not that there's, anything wrong with not falling in the diversity category, but I will say, one of the things that I talked about throughout the casting process was how pre-Survivor 40, there was, I think, a 50% chance that we would have an Asian man on a season, which meant per cycle, there's only one Asian man being cast. And that was something I touched on a lot during casting, and so it sort of ties back into the video. But I don't talk about it here, but it's just something that I had researched, and it's about like stats and stuff like that. 75 first cousins, I know. I guess that's the part that I should have been talking about. What up, Juju? So my dad is, I think his mom is like one of 13, and his dad is one of 11 or something like that. They're, farmers from the Midwest. So they be breeding. That's all I'll say. But yeah, 75 first cousins.
And it's part of this mix of cultures that I struggled with when I was growing up, because I always felt like I was too white for the Asian kids, but I was too Asian for the white kids. I mean, my friends would ask me, hey, you want to go get boba? Yeah, I'd rather be getting pizza, but I'm down to hang out. Or, even on the weekends,
oh God, get out of here with the Nick Wilson has entered the chat. Oh no. Sorry. Anyways, I interrupted myself. What was I talking about? Pizza?
I'm always watching or playing.
Oh, okay, yeah. So this part of the video I think is really interesting. I'll let it play out.
Playing baseball, but on the weekdays, I'm playing Pokemon Go in the park. So my life has been this balance of these cultures and finding cracks on how to use it to my advantage.
Finding cracks on how to use it to my advantage should not have been in the video. I think that is the worst sentence I said. Makes almost no sense. It's like generic, mumbo jumbo. And in a 4-minute and 21-second video, when the limit is supposed to be 3 minutes, you got to cut that out. But anyways, what I was saying about, growing up mixed and growing up Asian, I think there's something that you should, think about for your videos is not necessarily like, oh, I have to have a sob story, because people say that all the time, but you should have a reason for being there. You should have something that you can say concisely about why you're there that will compel the fans, that will make you relatable, and that they can sort of like market you as, if that makes sense. And so for me, part of that was growing up mixed. Anyways, lots of people in the chat. Hello, welcome. Welcome, Jordan. Welcome, Don.
And that's something I think I can bring to the table of Survivor, because you look at the pool of Asian American contestants over the last few years. And I mean, first of all, it's amazing we're even getting so much representation. But, second of all, it's a lot of the same story of, Hai and Vince and Nasir and everyone's favorite, Ty, who were these, first generation or immigrated to America when they were younger. And there's this market of young Asian Americans that I really feel like is being untapped. And so part of why I'm here is to show the younger mixed generation that we can kick some serious butt too. I mean, when I was 16 years old, I was 5'8", 185 pounds, kind of overweight, pretty unhappy, and I wanted to make my life better, but I honestly didn't feel like it was something I could talk to people about. And so I would go for these runs. I would run a 5K every night at 10 p.m. to make sure that nobody I knew would ever have a chance of
showing that I have a vulnerable side in this part of the video.
Seeing me. And it was pretty rough to do it alone. But at the same time, Survivor 33 was airing, and David Wright was on national television, conquering his fears. And while I was battling through stuff at home, I felt like he was battling through stuff on my favorite show alongside me. And honestly, I think that's part of what motivated me to lose 50 pounds that year. And I think it's the same motivation that I've been carrying through life for the past 6 years.
I don't know if you heard that. I hit my shades there, but because I was trying not to cut too much, I didn't cut it out and redo the take. But anyways, one of the things that I'll say about these stories that I'm telling is, you know, they're not just stories about me, but they're also stories about Survivor. I tie it in with, you know, Ty and Vince and Hai and Nasir, and I tie it in with David Wright, where I'm showing myself sort of growing up with Survivor. And obviously, you know, not everyone will have that, but I think it's really interesting if you can tie your background into your interest for Survivor somehow, so that instead of saying, I'm going to be Boston Rob, I'm going to get out there and I'm going to dominate, you can say, you know, some sort of story about yourself and how that relates to Survivor and how Survivor is a parallel with you as a person, instead of just flat out saying, I'm going to be, you know, the best out there.
And so I'm here because if I could be that light for just one kid at home, maybe they're mixed Asian American or they're going through some of the same struggles with fitting in that I did. If I could be that light for them, that would mean everything to me. So give me a call, Survivor, because I'm finally ready. I feel like this is my year, and I look forward to hearing from you.
And then we finish it with a call to action, right? So I think I hit a lot of key points. I should have cut some out. I think having a 4-minute and 20-second video is not great. But anyways, hopefully that helps a little bit. And if people have questions or if you want to send me your videos, feel free to do so. You can DM me on Instagram or Twitter or wherever. Send me your video and I'll take a look and give you some advice. But yeah, I hope you enjoy it.